else seemed really fast.
I don't know if I can make the cutoff time. A few months ago, I raced the Australian National Cross Country Championships, and despite some of the worst conditions probably in cross country history, I did surprisingly well. We got to Launceston pretty late at night. It was my first time ever going to Tasmania, and my mum decided to come as well, which was actually her first time seeing me run as an adult. While we were there, my mum wanted to go full tourist mode, so the next day we spent just exploring the sights. Unfortunately, a medical degree waits for no one, so I had to finish an ethics essay while I was over there in this cafe. I also did a really awful shakeout run. While we take a boat tour, let's talk about how we even got here. I haven't run cross country since high school, which was 5 years ago now. I missed the New South Wales Cross Country Championships, which was the national qualifier for this event, because I was racing in Brisbane for the final of the Australian Golden Trail Series, where I ended up finishing third, way ahead of expectations as I'd been placing only about 8th in the lead-up races. 2 days before registrations for the National Cross Country closed, I discovered that I actually could compete, but instead of for a state, for my university as part of the inaugural Unisport Nationals Championships. So even though I'd been focusing on 20-kilometre trail, I thought I may as well give cross country a go. My running has been picking up over the last year, so I thought it'd be really good to get some race experience in. So let me stress right now, I had zero experience going into this race. I'd obviously done some trail racing and a few road races, but no track and no cross country. In other words, no tactics. I hadn't even watched these kinds of races before. I didn't even know what a tactic was. So maybe take that as some subtle foreshadowing. After the boat tour, we went to check out the course, and oh man, it was rough. The wind was off the charts. There was so much mud, up to knee-deep water on parts of the course, this random thing to jump over, all the cars were getting bogged too. I also had no shoes for this race. I'd wanted to wear my trail running shoes, but my coach said they'd be too heavy in the mud. My plan was to borrow a pair of spikes from my friend Jayla the day of the race. I had literally never even put spikes on my feet before this race. I'm pretty confident I would have been the least prepared person at this event. So my mum and I went back to the motel and we had some snacks. You probably want to know what a runner does the night before a big national race like this. You know, probably relax and get an early bed. Nope, we wanted to see the penguins, and this was the only night that worked with our schedule, so we got driven an hour away to see some of the little penguins at low head. They use the yellow light so it doesn't disturb them, and some of them came right up to me and I had to use a lot of willpower not to touch them. And eventually we got back home late at night, and before I knew it, it was race day. I had a pretty simple breakfast, and at this point I actually still didn't know what shoes I'd be racing in yet.
Okay, we have under 5 hours until the race now. The cutoff time for the race is 42 minutes, and even though I can run on road, like a flat road, 10k and I reckon under 37 minutes, given that there's 60km/h wind the whole day, and there's water and water crossings, and I don't know yet if I'm going to wear spikes or shoes, and if I wear shoes they're going to be full of water, so they're going to be really heavy, so I'm not actually sure if I'm going to make the cutoff time, but my goal is to beat the one other person from my school, because they're the only other person I know, and then I might have a chance of beating them, because everyone else seems really fast, and yep, that's my mentality going into the race.
I wasn't feeling nervous until an hour ago when I was texting Jayla. She said she thought she could do the cross country in just over 40 minutes. I don't know if I can make the cutoff time. So now I'm a bit stressed, and also I don't have any shoes. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do or how it's gonna go, so now I'm a bit nervous. Alright, go ahead. I put on the spikes that I just got and off we went. My coach had told me where to stand on the starting line for a good takeoff, and I think maybe the nerves got to me because like 10 seconds into the race I found myself at the front. this was really not the plan, and I started freaking out because everybody was going way slower than I thought they would. I kept looking behind me to see where everyone is because I'm honestly just so confused. And everyone's watching and they're probably like, who is this person? We don't even know who she is. Like, all the people right behind me are obviously the pros that everybody knows, like Leanne, Jayla, Holly, Paige. And then there's just me at the front, like, what is actually going on? I'm like looking at my coach, asking him, what the heck do I do? It's actually a little embarrassing looking back on this because I look like I'm in a completely different race. I honestly had no idea what to do. Ended up leading for a bit over a kilometre. I eventually slowed down a little bit. I'm thinking, thank God, as the lead pack finally passed me. And I was aware that everybody was still watching me, and I got scared that I'd just like bomb out and everybody would think I just wanted my 5 seconds or 4 minutes of fame. So I found a pace I could maintain, and I actually did a pretty good job, and I didn't really slow down for the entire rest of the race, which I'm very happy with. From here I just settled into my position. I got overtaken at one point, but I got back in front, and I actually found out that that person I beat had represented Australia at the Unisport World Cross Country earlier this year, so that made me feel pretty good. It's definitely something that I will aim for in 2026, knowing that she is way faster than me on the road, but hey, I beat her in cross country and that's what it is. And yeah, I ended up finishing in 12th, just as the rain started to hit. And I was really happy with this result. It was so much better than I expected. I think I actually really thrived in the awful conditions, which allowed me to beat a lot of the girls that would actually be way faster than me on the road. I think somebody was 2 minutes ahead of me in the race, but on the road they're about 4 minutes faster than me in a 10k. So I think that really says something about perhaps where my skills are in racing. And I even got first place out of the university students, which was cool. All I could think about in the second half of the race was my feet hurt. It's probably a good thing that the ground was a bit wet because it meant that it was soft, so it was kind of just like I was running barefoot over a mattress or something, a wet mattress. But yeah, my feet were really sore. But aside from that, the spikes actually worked pretty well, although they did cause a really nasty blood blister in one of my toes, which eventually needed antibiotics because it got infected. But it was definitely worth it. After the race, we watched the boys. It was really nice to be in a puffer jacket at this point, and a rain jacket as well. Saw some of the guys that I trained with run past, which was nice. After that, the storm really kicked in and we got a blackout. But the next day we managed to get up and Mum wanted to go wine tasting, so we had some wine. I did not drink all of this, but it was quite tasty. Then I watched some Philly in the airport. Our flights got delayed because of the storms, obviously. And that actually meant that we missed our connecting flight, so it actually took like the entire day, which was quite frustrating. We couldn't get coffee in the airport because of the blackout. Everything was running on backup power, but eventually we got home. And so after this race, I decided that cross country is definitely my favorite sport. As long as it's a really rugged course, lots of mud, wind, rain, hills, I actually have a chance of doing well, which is something that I don't have, I would say, on the track or on the road. Even though I'm pretty new to running, I've only been running for about 2.5 years at this point, starting from scratch. I'm really excited to see what else I might be able to achieve, so long as I can balance everything with class, which is a constant struggle, but I will keep you updated.